Let me start with something honest. When we talk about intimacy in relationships, most conversations stop at the surface. They stay comfortable, they stay vague. But today I want to go somewhere deeper because the men and the couples who struggle most with this topic are struggling, not because something is wrong with them, but because nobody ever gave them an honest, grounded explanation of what's actually happening beneath the surface. So let's talk about it, really talk about it. There is a myth that has caused more disconnection in long-term relationships than almost anything else. And it goes like this, that a man's need for physical intimacy is purely a simple biological drive, an urge, something primal and uncomplicated that just needs to be satisfied and then moves on. That framing has done enormous damage because it reduces something genuinely complex and emotionally significant to something almost embarrassing. Something a man is supposed to manage or suppress or apologize for. Here is what's actually true, and I want you to sit with this because it changes everything. For most men, physical intimacy in a committed relationship is the primary way his nervous system processes feeling respected, valued, and genuinely connected to his partner. It is not separate from emotional experience. It is emotional experience expressed through physical closeness rather than words. When a man feels genuinely connected to his partner through intimacy, a cascade of neurochemical changes happens in his body. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, surges. Cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. His nervous system shifts from a state of low-grade tension into something that feels like safety, like home, like I'm known and I'm loved and I belong here. That experience, that specific combination of feelings is extraordinarily difficult for most men to access any other way. Not because they're emotionally limited, but because of how they're wired. Many men do not process emotional security primarily through conversation or quality time the way many women do. They process it through physical closeness, through shared vulnerability, through the nonverbal communication of being chosen by the person they love. This is not a character flaw. It's not immaturity. It's biology expressing itself differently in different people. And here's where the real damage happens in relationships. When a couple doesn't understand this difference, when partners assume they both experience emotional connection the same way, they start to misread each other constantly. She thinks he only wants one thing. He feels chronically rejected and can't fully explain why it hurts as much as it does. She feels pressured. He feels invisible. And slowly, without either person intending it, a distance builds that becomes harder and harder to close. When intimacy is withheld as punishment or offered as obligation or reduced to something mechanical and joyless, a man doesn't just feel physically unsatisfied, he feels invalidated at the deepest level. He feels like he is not enough, like his need to feel close to his partner is a burden rather than a bridge. And that feeling, quiet, persistent, rarely spoken, erodes confidence, erodes connection, and erodes the relationship from the inside out. Understanding this is the first step. But understanding alone doesn't change anything. So let's talk about what actually does. There are 3 habits, practical, real-world habits that rebuild and sustain genuine intimacy in a long-term relationship, not just physical intimacy. The whole foundation that physical intimacy lives on. The first habit is this: stop treating intimacy as a destination and start experiencing it as a connection. Here's what this means in real life. Most people, especially in long relationships, approach physical intimacy with a subconscious focus on the outcome, the completion, the endpoint. And when that's the primary focus, something essential gets lost: the presence. The actual experience of being with another person. Biologically, this matters more than most people realize. When the focus is purely on performance or completion, the body's stress response stays active. Cortisol remains elevated. The nervous system stays in a mild state of fight or flight rather than shifting into the parasympathetic state, the rest and connection state, where genuine bonding hormones are released. You can be physically intimate with someone and still not experience the emotional benefits of it simply because you were never actually present for it. Slowing down changes this completely. When the focus shifts from outcome to experience to actually feeling what's happening, noticing your partner, being genuinely present in the moment, the body responds differently. The nervous system relaxes, oxytocin flows, the experience becomes something that nourishes both people rather than something that just happened. Practically, this starts outside the bedroom. Build a foundation of regular, non-sexual physical affection. A genuine 30-second hug, not a quick squeeze, a real held embrace, holding hands on a walk, sitting close enough to touch while watching something together. These moments aren't small. They're the threads that keep physical closeness feeling natural and wanted rather than sudden and pressured. They maintain the warmth that intimacy needs to grow in. The second habit is one that most men actively resist, and the resistance is completely understandable given how most of us were raised. The habit is daily emotional vulnerability. Here's the reality. Chronic stress is one of the most significant physiological enemies of a healthy, intimate life. Sustained stress constricts blood vessels, suppresses testosterone, and keeps the nervous system in a state that is fundamentally incompatible with genuine connection and physical vitality. You cannot be fully present with someone when your nervous system is quietly managing a backlog of unspoken worry and unexpressed burden. The biological solution to this is the same mechanism that creates bonding during physical intimacy, oxytocin release through genuine emotional sharing. When you open up to your partner about something that's weighing on you, a fear, a frustration, a worry about work or finances or health, your brain releases the same bonding hormone that physical closeness produces. Emotional vulnerability and physical intimacy are not separate systems. They feed each other. Many men were taught, explicitly or implicitly, that being strong means managing everything internally, that sharing your struggles is weakness, that your partner shouldn't have to carry your problems on top of her own. But this belief, however well-intentioned, creates a profound loneliness inside the relationship. You become two people living parallel lives, each carrying their weight alone, with less and less genuine knowledge of each other's inner world. Real strength is not silence. Real strength is the willingness to be known fully, honestly, imperfectly by the person you love. Because being known is the foundation that genuine intimacy is built on. You cannot be truly close to someone who only knows your surface. In practice, this is simpler than it sounds. Once a day, share one real thing, not a summary of your day. One actual thing you're feeling or worrying about or struggling with. I'm anxious about this project at work and I can't stop thinking about it. I've been feeling disconnected lately and I don't know how to fix it. I'm worried about where we're headed and I want to talk about it. You're not looking for your partner to solve anything. You're looking for a witness, someone to know what's actually happening inside you. That act of being witnessed, of letting someone into the real interior of your life, is one of the most intimate things two people can share. And it costs nothing except the willingness to stop pretending everything is fine when it isn't. The third habit reframes the entire conversation around intimacy. Choose to experience intimacy as something you share joyfully, not something you negotiate, earn, or demand. The psychological weight of feeling like you're a burden, like your desire for closeness is an imposition, is crushing to a man's confidence and dignity over time. When a man feels like intimacy is something he has to talk his partner into or something she does out of obligation rather than genuine desire, the experience loses its meaning almost entirely. Because what he's actually seeking is not just physical closeness. He's seeking confirmation that he is wanted, that she chooses him, that the connection between them is something she values too. When intimacy becomes mutual, genuinely chosen by both people, genuinely enjoyed by both people, genuinely prioritized by both people, it transforms from a source of tension into a source of genuine replenishment. Research consistently links a healthy, intimate life with better sleep, lower blood pressure, stronger immune function, and significantly higher relationship satisfaction for both partners. This is not a luxury. For most people in committed relationships, it is a fundamental component of physical and emotional health. Practically, this means having an honest conversation about what both of you need to feel genuinely excited and safe in your intimate life. Not a performance review, not a complaint session, a real, warm, open conversation between two people who want the same thing, to feel deeply connected to each other. It means being fully present when you're together. Phone in another room, mind not rehearsing tomorrow's problems. Eyes actually on the person in front of you, the person you fell in love with, who is still there, still worthy of your full attention. And it means recognizing that on the days when the physical connection isn't happening, the emotional connection still can. 15 minutes of genuine, undistracted, non-agenda conversation in the evening. Sitting close, talking about something real. Maintaining the warmth that physical intimacy needs to feel natural rather than like a negotiation. Let me give you something concrete. A 1-week practice to start rebuilding or deepening the connection in your relationship right now. This week, don't engage in physical intimacy unless you are genuinely present and emotionally available for it. If you're not there, if you're distracted or disconnected or just going through motions, choose non-sexual touch instead. A long hug, a back rub, sitting close. Keep the physical warmth alive without the pressure of performance. Every evening this week, sit with your partner for 15 minutes with no phones and no screens. Not to discuss logistics, not to solve problems, just to be together. Talk, touch, exist in each other's presence without an agenda. And before you approach any conversation about physical intimacy this week, share something emotionally real first. Let your partner into your inner world before you ask for closeness in any other form. Let them know what's actually happening inside you. That vulnerability, that willingness to be seen is the most powerful foundation for everything else. Here's what I want you to take from everything we've covered today. Your need for connection, for physical closeness, for feeling chosen and desired by your partner, for the emotional security that comes from genuine intimacy is not something to be ashamed of. It is not weakness. It is not immaturity. It is the completely natural, deeply human expression of a man who loves his partner and wants to feel genuinely close to them. The challenge is not to suppress that need or apologize for it. The challenge is to understand it clearly enough to communicate about it honestly and to build the emotional conditions, the safety, the vulnerability, the genuine presence that allow real intimacy to flourish naturally rather than having to be forced. Age is not the end of vitality. Distance is not permanent. This connection can be rebuilt. One honest conversation, one genuine moment of vulnerability, one real act of presence at a time. You have more capacity for deep, joyful, genuinely nourishing connection than you may currently believe. And so does your relationship. Start with one thing this week, just one, and notice what begins to shift. If this gave you something real to think about and to try, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Magda Kay Inspires, because every day we go deeper into the real psychology of relationships, connection, and what it actually means to build a love that lasts.